Alright guys, so we're here to showcase off the new Madolche Exceed monster, the Glassoufle here, and it is actually a pretty good card for Madolches, especially for turn 1 plays, because previously, before we got the Link monster, the Sistart, you didn't really have an option to really go for anything other than maybe Sistart pass, and even then, it was kind of a mediocre play. They'd bounce it back and then you just get OTK'd. But now, of course, with the new Glassoufle, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to do that, especially when you combo it with Sistart. But anyways, Glassoufle is a rank 4 that just requires 2 Madolche monsters, and as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, target a Madolche on the field. That face-up monster's effects is unaffected by other monsters' effects this turn. Then, if a Madolche card or cards is sent from your graveyard while this card is on the field, you can shuffle up to 2 cards from the graveyards into the deck. You can only use each effect about once per turn. But the thing that makes it insane is because of Chateau, you're going to be able to actually return multiple cards that aren't even Madolche cards. It just has to be returned by the effect of a Madolche card to actually add it back to your hand, which you guys will see very soon. I'm going to play a couple of replays over here. Shouts to my homie Rosenix for hooking me up with these plays. And I know this is against Mecha Phantom Beast, which really doesn't see too much play, but it's just really to show you guys the advantage of just having free hand traps, really, is what the newer card allows you to do. So we're going to go ahead and negate the effect of Clearwing, Fast Dragon, and unfortunately he gets Fiendish Chain. I haven't seen that card in quite some time. There's also a few cards that came out a while back that I don't think we really covered. Well, they were for Speedroids, like the Dice Roll Battle. No one's really playing Speedroids as like a standalone archetype. They're more of a splashable archetype. But anyways, we got the Pudding Sessior, and then of course Hoop Cake coming out. It's kind of like the bread and butter of Madolche, just to eventually make Tiramisu, bounce back the cards, and then go for a game. But again, with the effect of Chateau and the new card, you're going to be able to add those cards back to your hand. So at this point, it's going to take some damage over here. This card does happen to have 0 attack, so no OTK here. But he's going to go ahead and go for the Tether Wharf. That gets warning. He's going to go ahead and go for the recovery. And he's going to go for the dice. This is going to go ahead and get Veiler, and it's going to be game over. But again, the main part of this is really just trying to show off the Exceed monster. And it gives them, again, just a better turn 1 play. Where the heck did that card go? It disappeared. I still don't really like playing Pudding Cess in the deck. I don't think it's really that required at all. I remember they tried to push it with the a la mode when this card came out. Because if it has Pudding Cess's material, whenever a Madolche card in your graveyard is shuffled into the main deck, except during the damage step, you could actually supposed to summon another Madolche monster, but that's going to go ahead and get negated. But really what it comes down to is, again, this card just being able to make it so it's immune, and then you're adding back the hand traps. That's insanely strong, because if you don't open up with OTK with Madolche, what do you do turn 1? Again, it was usually just to start, even that pass. It's not too strong, but now with the 3K Defender, plus you have the ability to reset your hand traps. Keep in mind that most hand traps, like especially the good ones, you can only use their effects once anyways, like for example Ash Blossom. Yeah. But nonetheless, see, it's pretty easy to make a game over here. I'm going to go ahead and play a couple more plays here. I would say it still can compete with the meta, but most of those gameplays are going to be just instantly like wins, if you understand what I'm saying, by just your opponent activates this card, okay, Veiler. Your opponent does this, okay, Ash Blossom. Then you go ahead and go into the Glassoufle, and then you go ahead and re-add back those hand traps. Your opponent is just going to quit on you. It doesn't really matter what they're playing. You're going to see multiple effects being activated over here. So Keel's going to activate its effect, but that's going to go ahead and get Veilered. He's going to go ahead and attempt to go for the Cyberdark Inferno. He's going to go ahead and reset that. And he's going to go ahead, Glassoufle, add back the effect Veiler over here. And, you know, that's a pretty good effect. Just being able to negate the effects. Pretty self-explanatory. There's a lot of other hand traps that I think Rosenix was trying, and I'll show you guys when we get into the deck profile. If any of you guys are interested in trying out the newer Madolche card, you guys can let me know how you feel about it. I feel like it does definitely help out the deck quite a bit, but it does require Madolche monsters, so you're not going to be able to splash it into anything. On top of that, you technically need Chateau for it to get like its maximum value, but you just get free hand traps, and from there, you should be able to game a majority of your opponents by just making it so they cannot Yugioh. And what's even more nasty with this deck is if you combo it with any of the trap cards like the Solemn Strikes, Infinite Impermanence, it's just going to make a game really fast. Because all this deck really needs to pull off a win condition is basically putting Cestior, maybe one other Madolche, and you should be able to make a game for the most part. But now, all you need to do turn 1 is just go for that card, and if you activate any hand traps, you're going to get them back anyways. So I think that's a really dirty mechanic. And like, what is your opponent going to do against this board? The amount of advantage that this deck generates for pretty much free is insane. But the thing that I think the deck really loses to is if you go for if you only have one Pudding Cestior, and you go ahead and utilize it and it gets negated, like there's really very minimal follow-up play. What is it, Magdalene Pass? You could, however, Cat and then go into Angeli, and you can still kind of make plays through that. I've even seen a long time ago people mess around with double summon in Madolches. But anyways, for those of you guys that do want the deck profile courtesy of Rosenix, here it is indeed. There's also a thing you could maybe throw in some Ghost Ogres, or I mean you can see that there were other hand traps he's probably trying out. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over the deck profile real quick. So first off, we're playing 1 copy of Pudding Cess, 3 copies of Master Gelato, 3 copies of Pudding Cestior, 3 copies of Magdalene, 3 copies of Angeli, 3 copies of Hoot Cake, 1 Mufel. Looking at this card, especially with the addition of the Glassoufle, I think that it's totally fine to play multiple copies of this, because whenever this card is normal summon, you can just special summon another Madolche. Now, unfortunately, Magdalene only gets this fight when it's normal or flip summon. When are you flip summoning this card? Probably never, but yeah, if that worked like that, then this card would be even better. But just to be able to actually have a turn 1 play in this deck, and because your hand traps are basically expendable because you can just reset them, as long as you have, of course, Chateau. But anyways, yeah, 3 Magdalene, 3 Angeli, 3 Hoot Cake, 1 Mufel, 3 copies of Valor, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 2 copies of Chateau, 2 Ticket, 3 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Twin Twisters. Haven't seen this card in a while, but remember guys, those hand traps, even though your opponent might be like, oh dude, you're wasting your hand traps, you're going to get them back anyway, so it's totally fine. We got, of course, Monster Reborn, pretty good card, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, 3 copies of Solemn Strike, and Warning. So basically, I mean, if your setup play, your go-to play could definitely just be the Glassoufle, and then you can go ahead and throw up one of these. Hopefully you have one of the traps, and then your hand traps, again, they're totally expendable. If Max C was technically unbanned, if you go to the OCG, actually, what is it at right now? Max C is at triple in the OCG. That is so crazy, and we can't even have one in the TCG. But this card could even be more insane during either player's turn, because Valor, yeah, it's only going to be during your opponent's main phase. But, you know, you could still technically utilize Ash Blossom or even Ghost Ogre during either player's turn. So that is actually pretty nice. I like that. So I would consider, if you guys are trying to build this deck, let me know, guys, what you would actually add or remove in the deck. But I definitely feel like Ghost Ogre could be a good addition as well into the deck if you wanted to go ahead and drop these. Because I would say some players, maybe they're trying to build Madolches as a budget deck, and this is probably the only pricey card that exists. Well, I don't know how expensive this card is going to be. Oh, we also need to go over the extra deck. So, as far as the extra deck goes, we have 2 Madolche Pudding Cess Chocolate a la Mode. I also think Pot of Desires is totally okay to run in this deck, because majority of the time you're going to try to game your opponent really fast, and if you don't game your opponent, you really want to be able to have these cards. And for the most part, you're running so many copies of things that you really need, like Angeli, Hoot Cake, Pudding Cessior, and these are just to search out the other cards. But all mode is really important to run. Don't skip out on this card, because there's certain times where you'll just need that extra small amount of damage. He is playing the Pudding Cess, so it does have that extra ability to special another monster and actually make it OTK. But I just never really like this card personally. Then we have, of course, 3 copies of Tiramisu, 2 copies of the new card, the Teacher Glassoufle, 1 copy of Exiton Knight, if you ever lose card advantage. But as you guys saw, this deck doesn't really seem to lose out on advantage pretty much the entirety of the gameplay. And then we have Livier, we have Unicorn, Phoenix, Cerberus, 2 copies of Sistar, which, again, previously this would be like the go-to card. But if you can make Sistar plus you have the Glassoufle turn 1, you're really set up to not be losing, because it's going to make it so the cards are protected, specifically the Chateau, which is what's going to let you reset your stuff. And then, of course, we have Mrs. Radiant. And then for the side deck over here, which is probably cards he was testing out, we have the Skullmeister, of course, Didi Crow. But anyways, yeah, like I said, let me know, guys, your thoughts on this. Do you guys think it's broken to reset hand traps? I was thinking it was kind of broken, but then again, if you think about it, most of the most insane ones, like Ash Blossom, that stop your opponent from really doing anything, that's a once per turn. And then on top of that, yeah, you can affect them multiple times, and you can re-add it. So that is indeed pretty good. But that is a new card, guys. Madolche T-shirt Glassoufle. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the vid. If you did, drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh gameplays, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And if you guys got any cool new gameplay of some of the newer stuff, feel free to go ahead and send it to AzneyesReplays@gmail.com. Get a shout out just like my boy Ravesmix. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. I'm going. I'm signing out.